Miami fans may not want to hear this. This is not a playoff or bust season.
You are Locked On College Football with Spencer McLaughlin, your daily podcast on all things college football. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Locked On College Football. I'm your host, Spencer McLaughlin. Thank you all so much for making this your first listen or your first view every day. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and your daily source to stay up to date with the biggest stories in this, the greatest sport on planet Earth, which starts next week. Next week, I'm going to have college football games to talk about. I cannot wait to tell you on today's show why Louisville's a threat to go to the ACC championship game and why Utah's Big 12 championship hopes this season are not a facade. That's all on the program, which is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Football season's around the corner, literally. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now. So, Miami goes into year 4 under Mario Cristobal after a season that was really, really exciting, fun, thrilling, and then a big letdown at the end. They have the big lead on the road against a good Syracuse team. They blow that lead. The defense collapses. All right, standard operating procedure. 3 reasons I do not see this as playoff or bust, which is how some have described it. I heard Joel Klatt say that not long ago, that Miami's got to make the playoff because, well, they're in the ACC. Winning 9 games would be good in the Big Ten, according to Joel, but not in the ACC. Okay, 3 reasons. Reason number 1, the schedule. I hate Miami's schedule for Miami. The Hurricanes are a legitimate shot. They provide a legitimate shot for the ACC to get 2 teams into the college football playoff. That's incredibly feasible. They open week 1 at home with Notre Dame. If they win that game, then you can go into playoff or bust. But guess what? I don't think they're going to, so I don't expect them to be able to reach that point. Because playing in the ACC means you have to go probably 11-0 after that point. You probably have to go 11-1, get into, maybe you could get by at 10-2. Oh, wait. They just did that. They just went 10-2, and they did not get a whiff of playoff consideration compared to 9-3 SEC teams. Maybe this year would be better. Maybe the committee's feeling more pro-ACC after the season. I don't know if that'd be the case since SMU got in at 11-2, didn't have the strongest schedule in the world, and they got dog-walked by Penn State in the playoff game. The schedule for Miami, in which the ACC title game, which I think they'll have to win in order to get into the college football playoff, would be their 8th straight game. Because they go by Florida State by. What? Huh? No, just no. Okay, so that's reason number 1. Reason number 2, they are resetting their defensive staff. When you look at Miami this year, they are correct to move on from the last defensive staff and bring in a new one that comes over from Minnesota. And by the way, Golden Gophers have secretly had a pretty darn good defense the last several years. I like that move. But when you are making such a necessary and holistic change, Miami has upgraded on that side of the ball. And also to be clear, I don't think that Miami's ceiling is short of the playoff. I'm just not going to bank on them to hit their ceiling and say, if they don't do that, then it's a bust sort of season. Because when you bring over a new staff, look at USC. The Trojans in Lincoln Riley's first year had the wrong defensive coordinator in Alex Grinch. He's now UCF's defensive coordinator for reasons I will never understand. So once Lincoln Riley moved on from him, last year was kind of a new era of Lincoln Riley football at USC. That's how I view Miami as well. Next season, we can talk about playoff or bust. But this season, when you don't have Cam Ward and you have Carson Beck, and you also realize, Miami's doing a lot of things really well. They have one of the best rosters, if not the best, outside of Clemson in the ACC. You can make all of those particular arguments. What you still have to come back to is, what's happening at the quarterback position? Matters a good amount. I think Carson Beck is good. I think he's easily one of the 5 best quarterbacks to hit the portal in this offseason. Shannon Dawson and what he did with Cam Ward last year has to give you a high amount of confidence. Cam Ward, at his best, is a better college quarterback than Carson Beck at his best. Cam Ward can do special things on a football field that led him to being the number 1 overall pick. Carson Beck could be a first-round pick, now the number 1 overall pick. He doesn't move like Cam Ward. He doesn't have the same arm talent. Doesn't mean he isn't talented. Doesn't mean he isn't good. But last year, Cam Ward bailed Miami out of several games. The Cal game most notably comes to mind. They trailed Duke but they trailed Duke in the second half at home last year, and Cam Ward went on a run. And the Virginia Tech game was close. All of these little moments where Cam Ward had to play hero ball. I'm not going to expect Carson Beck to do the same thing because he's not just a different player. He's a different style of player. He's a much more pocket-driven quarterback. I think the Cam Ward to Carson Beck change at quarterback parlayed with what should be a better defense, but that defense isn't going to be ready. You can't expect him to come in 1 year, boom, get Miami to the playoff in the national championship picture. No, what Miami should expect to have this year is to be in the conversation. But if they come up just short, if they go 9-3, as I've predicted them to do, and they come up just short of the playoff, are you calling that a failure? Are you going to look at 19 regular season wins in 2 years and say that that's not substantive progress? Then you can go into 2026 and say playoff or bust. But the third reason I don't look at Miami that way is if you frame that discussion as you got to make the playoff this year, the or else has to be or you're firing your coach, right? Anyone feel like Mario Cristobal is about to get fired? With the way that he recruits, with the way that they've gotten better every single year, it's harder to get over that final hump where you're going to become a truly elite team. That doesn't mean what he's done in the first 3 years was easy or a cakewalk. 5 wins, 7 wins, 10 wins. Progression. I think they could kind of stabilize this year, and then they need to figure out the quarterback situation. So those are the reasons I don't look at Miami and say this has got to be a playoff team or else, it's just a complete and total fit. No, a failure would be scrapping to make a bowl game. That's what a failure would look like. But the ACC's hopes this year of getting a second team into the college football playoff for a second straight season, they include Miami. They do not solely rest on the Hurricane shoulders and by default those of Mario Cristobal as well. Because those factors all together, I struggle to see all of those stars aligning. Maybe they will. Maybe they will. Maybe they beat Notre Dame week 1. And if they do, I'll change my tune. Because that means they're more ready than I thought they were going to be. That means that if your potential is beating the national runners-up, who should be a playoff team again this year, if you go out and win that football game, well then guess what? Yeah, now you are in playoff or bust. But I don't think they're winning that game. I don't think they're playoff or bust. I think they are a good team, one of the best in the ACC. I just hate the schedule a lot. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit me up on Twitter. You know who I don't hate to be a dark horse playoff team? Louisville. First, this episode brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel's giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. Do you want to bet college football? Do you want to get in on that action? Guess what? You can do that over at FanDuel. They've got everything you can need. Win totals, individual games, which start next week. Those lines are on FanDuel and a bunch of other games as well. National title odds, conference title odds, everything you could possibly want. The Heisman, it's all over there at FanDuel. Visit the FanDuel app today. Start planning your futures bets now because Futures Day is one day and one day only. So don't miss it and don't miss the opportunity to get in on the college football action as well. FanDuel, play your game. Let me try to win you over here on the Louisville Cardinals. Just hear me out. Jeff Brohm is easily, one of the most underrated coaches in America. Don't just look at what he's done at Louisville. Year 1, getting to the ACC championship game. That was 2 years ago. And then year 2, having another good season. They weren't exceptional, but they were good. Look at what happened to the place he left. the structure of the Big Ten Conference changed considerably, so Purdue didn't have a soft backdoor way into the Big Ten championship game. But do you remember that not long ago, Michigan was matching up with Purdue in the Big Ten championship game? What's gone on at Purdue since Jeff Brohm left? Let me put my thinking cap on. Nick Arvin of Locked On Boilermakers, cover your ears for this part. Oh, right. 4-8, 1-11. Barry Odom is there now with over 50 new players on the roster this year because it's a complete and total teardown and rebuild. So he leaves, that program goes downhill really quickly, proving that, well, he wanted a place that isn't very easy to win. Yeah, he did. Then he went to Louisville and he won. And his quarterback production has been really good the whole time that he's been there. They bring in Miller Moss from USC, who I've been a fan of, not just because he was on this program in the offseason, but predating that, I never felt like he was the problem at USC. He's going from one great quarterback coach in Lincoln Riley to another great quarterback coach in Jeff Brohm, who, when you look at the numbers he put up with Tyler Shuck, he just got Tyler Shuck drafted in, what was it, the third round? A couple of years ago when Shuck was at Texas Tech, he was winning games. He wasn't going to be an NFL draft pick. Well, Jeff Brohm got him there. So I think Miller Moss, who is mobile enough, who's got a good arm, and can make some really high-level throws, I think he can absolutely thrive in Louisville's system. They've got 58% of their production returning from a season ago. Not incredible, but not bad. They've got a top 35 transfer portal class. Not incredible, but not bad either. Solid across the board. So I like your quarterback. I like your coach. Your roster should be solid. Oh, by the way, the schedule is insanely favorable. So let's get into it. I have them going 10-2. And I'll be honest with you. I'm such a fan of Jeff Brohm and the Cardinals. My first run through of the schedule, I had them 11-1, and I said, okay, pump the brakes. Do I need to pump the brakes? No. Did I feel like I should? Yeah, I did. So I pumped them slightly. But they start with Eastern Kentucky, James Madison, and Bowling Green. Not the non-conference slate that I want teams to play. You've got an FCS, a group of 5, and a second group of 5. James Madison's a higher level G5 than most. I would like to see them put, that's the early portion of the schedule. They have Kentucky at the back end of their schedule. So at least there's that. But still, 9 Power 4 games on the slate. I'd like to see that be 10 for everyone. But is Kentucky good? No, they're better in Kentucky. They're going to win. They start ACC play at Pitt. Let me come back to that game. Virginia at Miami. I think that's 2 wins. They could very easily lose to Miami. It's not going to be an easy game. Miami is not notorious for being the most brutal place to go and play for visiting teams. I like what Mario Cristobal's done. I like Miami. I like Louisville a pretty good amount. So right now I'm taking Louisville. That's kind of a toss-up sort of game. They come back home against Boston College. Let me come back to that game too. At Virginia Tech, a team I like, but not as much as Louisville. I'll take the Cardinals there. Cal at home, cross-country trip. That's tough. Louisville's a better team with more continuity. That's a win. Clemson at home. At home. At home. They close the season with a game against Kentucky. They're going to win that. I think between Clemson and SMU, you're going to see a split by the Louisville Cardinals here. 2 teams that were in the playoff last year that have legitimate playoff aspirations this year. I'm higher on Clemson than I am on SMU. I'm going to reserve the right to wait and see on which game I like more. On paper, though, I think they win at home against Clemson and lose at SMU in the classic emotional letdown spot. Remember, it was the Louisville Cardinals last year that went into Death Valley against the team that went on to win the conference championship and absolutely blew the doors off of the Tigers. Now, they didn't sustain that play for every single week throughout the season, but that is what I'm talking about when I tell you Jeff Brohm is a really good head coach. So I think it's 2 years in a row against Clemson, classic emotional letdown spot the following week against a good SMU team. Now, let me come back to those games I said I'd like to come back to. When I did the run through, I thought, I think they're going to win at Miami. And I had to sit with that am I comfortable with it? Yeah, I am. So then I go through the rest of the schedule. Well, I think they're splitting with last year's playoff teams. So does that really leave me at 11-1 for the Louisville Cardinals? Hey, I've seen crazier things happen in college football. Arizona State won the Big 12 last year, for goodness sake. And that'd be a great way for the ACC to get 2 teams into the college football playoff. Have Louisville in there at 11-1. Maybe they don't win it. Maybe they lose to a 10-2 team. Well, a pair of 11-2s at the Power 4 level should get you into the playoff no matter what. So the games that I came back to as slip-up potential were the ACC opener at Pitt. Eli Holstein's back for the Panthers, who last year started 7-0 and stumbled in the second half. But Pat Narduzzi's solid. You can get a good crowd out there. Holstein is a good quarterback. Not incompetent. That's not going to be an easy game. And the Boston College game. Now, the Boston College game probably doesn't raise a lot of red flags in Louisville country. It probably doesn't garner a whole heck of a lot of attention. Just ponder this. I've started to look at these schedules a little bit like NCAA tournament resumes. When you fill out, not resumes, sections of the bracket. When you fill out that bracket, you go through and you know in your head, I've got to pick a certain number of double-digit seeds. I do this every year with a friend of mine. Got to pick at least 112. Got to split the 11 and the 6 seed games. Should probably have a double-digit seed here. The same thing applies, just not as regulated and structured to college football. There are upsets throughout the season that if you'd predicted going into the year, you would have been called crazy, insane, non-knower of ball, etc., etc. And so I got to thinking about those 2 games. Because Bill O'Brien is going into year 2 as a head coach at Boston College. I've seen Bill O'Brien coach before. He's pretty solid. They didn't like Thomas Castellanos. He's at Florida State now. I'm just saying. That could be a trip-up spot. At Virginia Tech could be a trip-up spot. Pitt could be a trip-up spot on the road. I think between those games, I think they'll win at home against Virginia. I don't think that'll be as much of a problem. But if they don't win at Miami, I'd like to think they have the intestinal fortitude to win the other games I'm talking about here. But at Pitt, at Virginia Tech, Boston College at home. Just keep a weather eye out there. Or just keep an eye on them going. If they go 11-1, I'll be so happy. So unbelievably happy. So, Louisville, I'm pulling for you. The Cardinals, an ACC title contender. Over in the Big 12, yeah, get back to Utah. First, this episode brought to you by Wayfair. Summer winds down. There's something nice about getting back into a routine you love. I'm a big routine guy myself, and Wayfair makes it easy to set yourself up for the season ahead. From bedding and linens to storage solutions for every room, Wayfair is your one-stop shop to refresh your home. So I just moved to a new apartment, and I've got a bunch of different spaces that I have to figure out how I'm going to fill and how I am going to decorate and such, and what I'm going to have and how I want things to look. And I don't really know those things, but Wayfair's got so many options, I can figure out what I like and don't like, because I don't like coming up with an idea on my own. I like being presented with options, and then I go, ooh, I like that. Ooh, I don't like that as much. Ooh, I kind of like that. Oh, I love that. Wayfair gives you that because they've got a bunch of different options. Get organized, refreshed, and back to routine for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home. Recently, I hopped on with my guy, JT Wistrcill of Locked On Utes, to talk about how Utah wins a Big 12 championship this year and why they're so capable of doing it. It does somewhat largely depend on one guy. A couple of reasons. Number one, the defense did not fall off, which has always been Utah's calling card. It has always been, this is a defense and run team, and Kyle Whittingham's really good in situational football. That's been what Utah has historically been. That wasn't actually missing last year. Those elements were not faulty. Close games were lost because of the quarterback situation. So it does come down to Devon Dampier. But frankly, Utah going 5-7 last year, massive disappointment, of course. I don't know what stat you're going to show me that doesn't come back to it being rooted in the quarterback position. So if that position is good, and I am bullish on Utah. You said it past tense. You were bullish on Utah. No. This is a present tense take. With Utah's schedule, I have them going 10-2 because I'm just that much of a sucker, apparently. But the reason I like Utah is I trust Kyle Whittingham. I like their roster, and I think their quarterback play is going to be improved. Nothing else. The quarterback is the only thing that has to change. Nothing else needs to change from last year. I didn't watch last season and think, oh, Kyle Whittingham has lost it. No, he lost his quarterback. He didn't have that situation where you would like it to be. If it is there this year, though, with the new OC, then guess what? I've got a lot of confidence. As Joel Klatt often says, death, taxes, and Utah football. And I think that is as sound of a reason as any to like a team in the Big 12. Because this conference, again, I think you have 7 teams that can win the Big 12 this year. Legitimately, 7, maybe 8, but probably just 7. And that's a pretty awesome league to be a part of. And throw your dice at the craps table, man, and see if it comes up with the right combo to win you some money, or in this case, a Big 12 championship.
We're going to talk about the Big 12 as a whole in a moment. Speaking of Big 12 titles, you have Texas Tech over Utah right now. I want to know why, what are your questions or reservations about this Utah team out? And maybe it is just quarterback that would lead you to say, because I think we both like Dampier more than what Tech has at that spot as we sit here right now too. So no, you like Morton? You didn't mention him last segment.
I like Baron Morton.
Oh, you like Baron Morton? Okay.
Yeah.
So is that why you have to?
That's another guy. That's another guy. That's another guy that you're right, should have been on the list. I'm trying to do that thing off the top of my head and cycle through the however many Power 4 teams there are and figure get them all in my head right now.
I mean, you are locked on college football. That's what you're paid to do. But
well, in a manner of speaking, So I do like Baron Morton, and I know what he is more than I know what Devon Dampier is. So that's factor number 1. Factor number 2, Texas Tech had probably the best offseason of anybody in the Big 12. They have the highest rated transfer portal class. Like they went out and it's not just, an Indiana play or Colorado where it's just straight volume. No, there's a caliber of recruit. Romello Height and David Bailey. I don't know who has a better edge tandem in the Big 12. I don't. Do I have all 16 of them memorized? No. Do I feel confident when I say that's the best tandem of edge rushers that exists in this league? I do. And I say that knowing Utah can coach anybody to be a great offensive or defensive lineman at any point in Kyle Whittingham's tenure. And I expect them to be good up front. But those two guys, Bailey is NFL caliber. Romello Height is a proven Power 4 player. Those two guys with Baron Morton and the rest of their transfer portal class, and let's not forget the fact, it's not like they were a bad team. They had an 8-4 regular season. Morton was hurt, didn't play in the bowl game. So that's an 8-4 team that went out and got substantively better with a bunch of key returners, continuity on its coaching staff and a quarterback. Yeah, there's plenty of reason to like my Texas Tech Red Raiders.
You're not saying my Utah Utes anymore. Oh, for pain. But we let you down last year, so we'll settle for second.
Yeah, you guys got to earn my trust back a little here. Like I'm on board, but before you become my My boys again, my homies, you gotta do something on the field. Texas Tech just needed to do it on paper, man. Paper Big 12 champions. That's all I need from the Red Raiders.
And I like Tech a lot too, so I'm okay with calling them the paper champs right now. But speaking of just the Big 12 title game and all of this, and just this conference in general, Spencer, if Utah doesn't win the Big 12, like, can they get in? Do you see two Big 12 teams getting in the college football playoff this year? I think 11-1.
That depends on the team you're talking about. So let's take one example just off the top of my head. Baylor has a non-conference game with Auburn. Now, I don't think Auburn is that good. Let's say that I am wrong.
Like outside the top 10 in the SEC?
Yeah, I think Auburn is 6-6.
Okay.
So, like, fine team.
Mm-hmm. Don't lose.
I don't trust the coaching staff there. Let's say Baylor wins that game, and Auburn's better than I think, and they go 9-3, which I think is their best case scenario. So if they do that with their schedule, which isn't that hard, but has a couple notable games like Alabama, for instance, Georgia, if they can beat one of those teams and be inside the top 15, Baylor at 10-2, not in the Big 12 championship game, suddenly looks a lot more appealing. I don't think you're going to see a Big 12 team make the college football playoff this year that doesn't have a marquee non-conference win, that doesn't just feel good in the moment, but holds up over time. Because last year, BYU went 10-2, a road win against a playoff team in SMU, and they didn't get in the playoff. They didn't even have that much buzz. So I need to go through every single team's non-conference slate, but I don't know how many opportunities there are for those sorts of victories. You know, TCU plays North Carolina. Well, I don't think North Carolina is good.
Yeah, and so, I feel the same way about Utah and UCLA, right? Like, I don't.
Yeah, and like that's a plenty interesting game. Former Pac-12 foes, Nico's first game, and all of that. And I think Kyle Whittingham and Morgan Scalley will put him in a blender for that particular matchup. But does that give Utah enough for 10-2? No, because I don't think UCLA is a bowl team this year. So that's what's missing. You have to be. We've only got 1 year of data, but in all likelihood, you have to be an 11-win team in the Big 12 or the ACC if you're going to get in the playoff. So can they get two in? Yeah, if two teams go 11-1, they should be in. The playoff committee showed you last year they'll put them in. Who's doing that this year in this Big 12? I like Utah. I like Texas Tech. I like Kansas State. Do I see 11-1 out of them? A lot of things would have to go right there. So one of those things has to happen. You need to be 10-2 with a seriously legitimate, like Utah would need to beat UCLA, and then the Bruins go 10-2 and they're ranked in the top 20.
Oh gosh, that's asking a lot of Nico.
Yes, exactly. But again, like Arizona State won the Big 12 last year. Let's not put anything off the table. So if something like that happens, okay, I can see it. Other than that, other than those two scenarios, no, I think the Big 12 will be a one-bid league. Appreciate everyone listening. I will see you next time. And until then, hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.